Khona ongamethemba waseCalvary this morning. Mina ngiyamethemba. Noma kukubi noma kumnyama mina futhi ngiyakholelwa kuye. In Jesus' mighty name. Can we read Joshua 3 verse number 5? Joshua 3, 5 and 6. We will not be able to, because of time, to read Colossians 3 verse 23. These are the scriptures that we'll look into this morning. Joshua said to the people, sanctify yourself for his purpose. Joshua spoke to the people that it is time that we sanctify ourselves for this purpose. What is this purpose? It is the purpose of the Lord in your life. It is the purpose and the power of God in your life. And then he continues and says, for tomorrow the Lord will do wonders. May someone says, may the Lord do wonders unto my life. May the Lord do a miracle unto my life. And then verse number 6 says, Joshua said to the priest, take the ark of the covenant, cross over the river ahead of the people. So they took the ark of the covenant. They went ahead. Can I get someone at now? I'm going ahead. I am going ahead. This morning I want to speak under the subject, leading in the chaos world, making a reflection of the life of Joshua. Let me go back and say, God has a purpose with your life. And the purpose of God is to see you flourishing. That is why in the book of Genesis chapter number 1, he says, let us make man in our own image. In our likeness, man was made. It means everything that you do it according to your Father, who is a manuscript of your life. There's nothing that you can do outside of God and you succeed. That is why I am saying this morning, let us look at the subject, looking at the life of Joshua, and says, leading in the chaos world. There's no doubt in my life, there's no doubt in these times that we are living in the chaos world. Why is it so chaos? Children are raped, elderly women are raped. This is not normal. If we can look into the church, people are destroying one another in character and in deeds. This is not a normal season. It is a season of the Lord that will require me and you to lead from the front. The Bible says, Joshua said to himself, this is the time that the Lord must do a miracle. He never prescribed what type of a miracle. It is your time this morning that God will tell God, says, I am expecting a miracle. It is a season whereby, as chaos as it may look, you should not worry more, but you should worry less, because God says, I want to walk before you. Those that God has ordained and those that God has given them the power, God ensures that every season they are always ahead. When the Bible says we are not the tails, but we are the head, God was not playing gimmicks with us. He was affirming us. The Bible says Joshua, as young as he was, he lived with Moses for years. Moses was never a warrior like Joshua, but he stayed with Moses. Where is the church this morning that will stay in the feet of God? Nanoma kunzima, nanoma kwehlela, nanoma kwenyuka, kodwa hlala ebukhaneni bukaSimakade ngoba la uhleli khona amandla aSimakade ayobonakala. The Bible says he walked. In the book of Deuteronomy says Moses will go and pray and he will remain in the tent. This morning, FGT, it is time that we go back to the basics and remain in the tent and remain where God's presence is. Because where God's presence is, there is full of liberty. Our liberty and peace remains in us staying in the tent. You cannot win in the absence of God. You cannot excel if you want to win when God is not in your life. It desires of us day in and day out to stay under the wings of the shadow of the Almighty. Every time and every season, for the eagle to fly, it requires the wing to be open. May God open his wings for you, because you are a trusted someone that stays in the tent for God. There are situations that will cause us to move away from God, to shift away from his presence. God, little Bible learner, Joshua stayed after Moses have left. We are not staying in FGT because we continue to stay and pray earnestly in the absence of the leader. Because when you stay and stand fast in his presence, we are kumbul. Mage unkulunkulu ankhumbule. Akhumbule nemindeni yenu. Abese futhi akhumbule nabantwana benu. Because we are staying under the wings of our Father. The Bible little Moses grew, and after that in Joshua he conquered many things. Then I look at myself. Why Joshua? He was not a warrior. He did not have, at his age, he did not have the mental capacity and the capability to become who he was at the end. What does it mean? It means you can grow and live your life thinking that you are ordinary, but God has destined you into the extraordinary things. May the extraordinary things of my Father be extraordinary in your life, because God says, with you I shall do great things, and the great things that I shall do through you, people shall be amazed. May people be amazed with what you do and how you walk and how you present yourself. Because the Bible is Joshua, he stayed in the presence of the Lord. In the presence of the Lord, Mfundis, is when our disobedience dies and the obedience of the Lord comes out. It's when our failures die in the presence of the Lord. But for us to succeed, come out in power. It is when our peace that did not exist before in the presence of the Lord, it come out. May our country, South Africa, in the chaos that it be, let FGT become the church, and the ministers of this church becomes the one that will lead the end times revival. We cannot lead if we are seated at the back. We cannot lead if we are not in the presence of God. For us to lead, we need to move according to the scriptures. It is time that as a church we stepped into the promise. Because if we step into the promise, there's nothing that God has promised us that will not succeed. In the promise of the Lord, and if we step into the promise, everything that God has said through men and women of life, things will come to pass. It is the time as a church we need to step forward. There was this woman with the issue of blood. He suffered for many years as we are suffering right now. But it took her to step forward and attain her healing. May you attain your healing in you stepping forward. May you attain your healing in you moving forward. It's because understanding the power of stepping forward, the power of saying the cross is there. I cannot live outside of the cross. I am stepping into the cross so that the power of the cross can be upon my life. The power of resurrection can be upon my life. The things that are dead shall resurrect